Alrighty, now we'll get to the final paper and the related evaluation of introductions assignment. So the final paper is what we call evaluation of evaluations. So it will be an individual paper in which you're going to look at a bunch of different papers that are all generally considered impact evaluations, and you'll be able to use the concepts from this class to analyze the methods that they used. And in some cases, talk about how the authors effectively use these methods, and in some cases, critique some of the choices that the authors made. You'll be able to choose from a list of 7 topics. We've provided around 6 to 10 papers for each topic. We'll have you choose 3 papers from this list. You'll also be able to select a fourth related paper of your choosing that's been published since 2019. I'm going to have a little assignment for you all where you submit the fourth paper just so that I can make sure that these fourth papers are up to my standards. And then if that fourth paper is enough for you, you may substitute one additional paper if you'd like, and it is cleared by me. The 4 papers that you select must employ at least 3 methods covered in the course. So you can have 2 papers that cover the same method, but over the course of all 4 of the papers, they must cover 3 different methods. I'm going to have you all submit your topic choices by Wednesday of week 4, which will be in the end of September. That way I can form groups for you all. And then in week 8, we're going to have what's called the evaluation of introductions. So you're going to look at the introductions of the 4 papers that you'll evaluate in your final paper. And you're going to use Jana Johnson's introduction theory, which again, there will be a series of videos and slides on introduction theory, and you will use that to evaluate the introductions. This is going to be a mix of evaluating them for content and for form. This will be a paragraph by paragraph critique, and you will also have an opportunity to provide suggestions for improvement as if you were doing a peer review. And there will be more guidance on this particular assignment later on, as well as obviously the final paper. Next, there's going to be an introduction draft and peer reviews that are going to be submitted in week 13. Goal of this is to allow you to get some feedback from your peers about your introduction draft. It also is just a good exercise in general to get used to reading other people's work and providing constructive criticism. There will be a guideline handout on Canvas. You will be assigned to groups of about 3 members, and you'll have to read each other's drafts and provide some feedback for each of those members of the group. Note that these drafts will not be read by me or the TA, and generally we're not going to thoroughly look into the feedback that's given. However, we will look at that feedback, and if we notice that you provided particularly substandard feedback, then your final paper grade may be reduced. And I will make sure to give you a heads up if I believe that you gave substandard feedback. Then the final paper will be due on December 16th of finals week. It's going to be graded by me, and obviously I'll give Kate a little bit of opportunity for collaboration to give me feedback on any of the grading. I will give you short feedback on these papers. However, I'm completely willing to provide more detailed feedback. So please reach out to me to schedule a meeting during spring semester if you're concerned at all about your grade or about how you can improve your writing moving forward. Again, similar to what I talked about with the assignments, anytime there's late assignments, it makes life really difficult for both me and the TA. So please get those done by December 16th. Another component of your grade is going to be these Canvas quizzes. So these are going to generally follow the required pre-class videos, and they're made to make sure that you actually watch the videos, read through the slides, and understand the concepts that were covered in those videos. Generally, there'll be about 5 multiple choice questions. You'll get 2 attempts to complete each of these quizzes, and only the highest score of those will be kept. You must complete each quiz prior to the relevant class period. Otherwise, you will receive a 0. The reason for that being that we might give you the answers to some of the quizzes, and so we don't want you to do them afterwards because there's no point, because the whole point of them is to make sure that you understand these concepts going into the class. And so if you're not understanding them, then you might end up being lost in class. All quizzes will be equally weighted in the final grade. Similar to the Canvas quizzes, we'll also be having these weekly feedback forms. These are designed to be allow for real-time updating of the course as we go through the semester. I've taught classes before. I've actually taught a portion of this class before, but with it being one of my first times teaching an entire course on my own, I am very, very open to any feedback you have and adapting the course as necessary. And so these weekly feedback forms will be necessary for that. The answers to these weekly feedback forms are going to be anonymous, so feel free to be completely honest with them and harsh if necessary. And I will be able to know if you completed the feedback forms, but I won't be able to know when, and I won't be able to sort of line everything up. So again, anonymity is guaranteed. These are going to be 5 multiple choice questions plus a few open answer questions where you can give written feedback, basically just gauging your understanding and how you feel like the classes are going. They will be available right after class ends on Wednesdays, and generally will be due at 9 a.m. The Friday after class. However, there will not be weekly feedback forms on week 1 or the week of Thanksgiving. You are allowed to miss one of these during the semester. However, missing more than one will reduce this portion of your grade. So again, these are supposed to be easy points. Make sure you do them, and if you don't do them, then it will hurt your grade in some way. Finally, attendance and engagement. So as I alluded to before, there is going to be some amount of required attendance in this course. However, for lecture and labs, attendance will not be recorded. The TA and I will not record in-person lectures or labs. Kate will run an audio-only, non-recorded, synchronous Zoom session, provided that you request those before class. And those will cover both the lectures and the labs. We'll make sure that they're recorded. This is a thing that is mentioned in the syllabus, but we're not going to do any video recordings for this particular class, but we can do the audio-only recording. You can also, if it's last minute and it's not requested before class, you can request another student to record the lecture also while you're sitting in class. You can record a lecture lab yourself, but again, it must be audio only. So overall takeaway, attendance is not required, but it is highly, highly recommended. And we're not going to do video classes, but we will do asynchronous recordings as necessary. Again, audio only recordings. Now, in-class exercises. So as I mentioned before, there will be a series of in-class exercises. For these, attendance will be required and recorded. I'm going to address absences a little bit later. I do believe in legitimate absences. But if there are illegitimate, unexcused absences during these in-class exercises, it will affect your grade. If you must miss class on these days, please notify, that should say Instructor Ellis. Please notify me beforehand if possible. If you cannot attend in person, but can still attend virtually, you may arrange to Zoom with one of your group mates. That will be completely acceptable. That's going to be super easy to do. Please do that if you can, especially like if you're sick and don't want to get other people sick, but still want to be involved in class. Yeah, please arrange for that. Um, and even beyond the in-class exercises, uh, active, consistent engagement is going to be expected. I will be walking around talking to you all. I will notice if you are not engaged during these in-class exercises.